There's no disputing the fact that books are one of the best ways to learn or improve in something, and chess is no different. So here are my 5 best chess recommendations for you in terms of books. The first one is My 60 Memorable Games by Bobby Fischer, and it basically goes over his 60 most memorable games, as the title suggests. And what's amazing about this is he annotates every single one of the games. And when a great grandmaster like Bobby Fischer annotates games, you can definitely understand everything about that game. The reasons for every move that was played, the strategies, the tactics, everything that Bobby Fischer was thinking about in that moment or after the game, or at any time related to that game, you'll be able to learn about in this book, which makes it one of the most special books if you want to understand specific games. And if you're actually interested in these specific games, then here are the opponents that he played. Here are the first 25 games that he shares, and here are the rest of the 60 games that he talks about. So if you're interested in one specific game, here are the list of games. Let's move on to Silman's Complete Endgame course. And as the title suggests, once again, very intuitive title, it is a complete Endgame course. And I try to cover as much Endgame because I personally believe that Endgame is one of the most, if not, in my opinion, actually the most important part of chess. Obviously, that's not really including tactics and things like that. But once you actually break down the game into the opening, the middle game, and the end game, in my opinion, the end game is where most mistakes happen and where you have to be prepared. So this is a great book for just that. And it talks about so many principles that, even I mentioned. For example, opposition, the principle of 2 weaknesses. Well, I haven't mentioned that, but I'm thinking of making a video about that. Triangulation, building a box, things like that I've mentioned, also square of pawn. So all these things, and obviously much more things that I've talked about, are found in this book, and they're very thorough, very it's a very in-depth book about all of these endgame ideas, and it's very crucial. If you want to improve your endgame, this is my top recommendation for you. In terms of level of player, it's really for all players, because endgames, when you break down an endgame, all players can really learn these principles. So it all depends on how much time you're willing to put into learning these ideas. Next, we have Chess Tactics for Champions. Like I said, there's so many different books, so I tried to pick a different genre for each book. So here it's about tactics, and in my opinion, this is the best tactic book in the world. And I'll be honest, it is incredibly common tactics are shared, right? So things that you can also find online are in this book. But that being said, there are many rare tactics and things that you don't talk about or you don't find online, and many rare positions, and even some of the most common tactics are used in a very different position to what you're normally used to, and that makes you able to see a lot more tactics in your actual games. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is all about strategy in chess. It's called Mastering Chess Strategy. And this book, I'll be honest, it is hard. It is. I've tried to read it, and I could do most of the training exercises, but it's aimed for very high rated players. I read a chess.com article, and one of the international masters there said that this book, in his opinion, is aimed at 2,000 plus high rated players, so FIDE rating. So it is a very hard book. Okay, don't come into this thinking that it's going to be easy. Okay, but that being said, that doesn't mean it's beginners should just end the video right here and leave. Right, it is a good challenge for you. And if you do want to get challenged and you don't want books that it's the easiest type of tactics or the easiest tactics or strategy or the easiest anything, and you do want a challenge, then this is a good book for you. One of the great things is the amount of exercises that there actually are. There's more than 350, and like I said, they are pretty hard. Our last book that I'm going to be talking about in the top 5 is very special. And the reason that it's very special is that Magnus Carlsen himself tried this book. Okay, so I'll explain that further in a second. So first, it's called 100 Endgames You Must Know. And I think most people have heard about it because it's a very common, there's these tests that kind of pull endgame situations from this book, and then they test you about them. And Magnus Carlsen, like I said, took one of these tests, and he actually didn't get it perfect. There were a couple of endgames that he messed up on. And I definitely recommend watching the video that he messed up on some of the endgames on, because it shows you how impressive the material in this book is, that such a great grandmaster messes up on them. But he did obviously ace all of the other endgames in this. But they are very good, and it goes over the most important and principal chess endgames positions in all chess games. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and definitely, if you have another book that I didn't put here that you would maybe replace with a different book, then leave it in the comments below, because the more books, the better, huh? I guess that's one way to look at it. So if you have more books, leave it down below, not only for me, but also for any other viewer. If if you want to find more books than what I mentioned, then maybe go to the comments and see if anyone has commented something, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next video.